Had a normal childhood, middle-class parents, bus drivers. Had a child at age 19 that we gave up for adoption and went in the military during Desert Storm. In my life, right after the military, I was a bouncer, a bodyguard, a bounty hunter, then became an outlaw motorcyclist. Because it was instant family, I thought from my point of view, these people were gonna have your back. They were gonna be right there with you no matter what. Somebody messed with me, they were messing with the whole club. We're not living by the world's rules, but we're living by our own. Partying hard, taking drugs, and having fun. I actually was the type of guy in that time frame that you wouldn't want to see coming down the street, whether it's daylight or dark. My job was to make sure the club got what it needed, no matter what. I still wake up every night with every face that I've ever messed up. There's an old saying, when you have drugs and alcohol, you have friends. When your drugs and alcohol run out, you don't have friends. As long as I had it, I had people that would either come by for me or party with me or hang out with me. The minute it was gone, there's nobody around. You go from being the life of the party to lonely in 3 easy steps. This is what my life is. Where did I go wrong? You start thinking of your life decisions of, I had a family. I don't call them except for 2 times a year. I had a wife, I had a kid, I had. It's always past tense. This is what my life was, this is what it is now. One of the biggest things that I fought when I first got out of that life was the self-condemnation that nobody would want to be around, near, or be with me because I was that type of person in the past. Patricia Mitchell Haven is my wife. We met in a bar after I came back on a bus to Washington State, and we connected out on the dance floor. And ended up being together for the last 18 and a half years. Neither one of us was actively a Christian. I had one time been voted probably least likely to become a Christian in my life. She had decided to actively pursue becoming a Christian, but there was no way on this earth that she was ever going to get me through the doors of her church. A couple months later, my doctors told me I had a condition called sarcoidosis. Sarcoidosis is kind of interesting because the lungs fill up with calcium and become unbreathable. So the doctor looked at me and said, well, you're gonna die. At one point, I went to the hospital and basically died on the operating table. Heard the audible words of God. This is your second chance. I didn't want to mess it up. And I looked at her and I said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. What can your God do for me? Put her hands on her hips and said, I ain't telling you nothing. I tried to tell you for a couple of years and you won't listen to nothing anyways. Call Pastor Red. This is the guy that's the pastor of the church that my wife goes to and disappears for 8 hours. I don't have his number. Yes, you do. It's in the Bible, I got you. What Bible? The one you threw above the washing machine. I'll call this phone number. He won't remember me. He'll hang up. He'll do the normal Christian thing and just blow me off. From that point on, we spent an hour on the phone where he led me to the Lord over the phone, led me through healing scriptures, and led me through a prayer of healing. And from that point on, I was grafted into the family of the Christian Crusaders. Most of us in the Crusaders have been ex-outlaw bikers, ex-felons, but we're all hardcore lifestyle people that God has saved to reach the lost, the hurting, to get that inheritance that God is looking for. That's the big difference between the Crusader ministry versus the outlaw world. I'd instantly gone from being self-controlled, self-medicated, self-sent to having salvation. God could even turn a dirty old grubby biker into something that he'll use on a daily basis for his kingdom, and decided that I was going to live for Christ. And I prayed to see what God was going to be able to do with my life. And I got interconnected with a loving individual that I went to high school with. Goes by the handle Pastor Heath. They were starting a church called Grace Point Northwest. So we decided to get all gussied up and go to Grace Point Northwest. I think I still went in my leathers. And I'm sitting there going, wow, This church is not only blessed, but it's spirit-filled and spirit-led. So we wanted to make sure that we did this the right way, and when we came to Pastor Heath and Kiona, they said that they were more than willing to have us on their team and to come be at church with them. God sent us to Grace Point. And to come to Grace Point Church where grace is taught, grace is shown, the same grace that God gave us when He brought us back into His kingdom. I know that God's got a plan using this little family that was dysfunctional as all get out in the beginning to now be a powerful tool that God can use to reach the lost. I always think of a line, God protects drunkards and fools. All those times where I was getting shot at, all those times where I was alone and thinking about, why am I alive? There was always something there that I couldn't put my finger on. To look back now on that time, I know God's hand was on my life because there was no other way I would have survived it. Throughout my life, I've been healed from many things, all by God's word, God's grace, and God's mercy. I've been healed from one heart attack I knew without any damage. I've been healed from sarcoidosis. I've been healed from all of my past. God can heal. Most importantly, He wants to, and will do it whether you think it can be done or not. But it works so much easier when you know it can be done.